If you're trading hours a day, taking 10, 20 plays and still not making money, the reason is because you are not waiting for the right setup. You are forcing plays that are simply not there. You can make more with one good trade than 10 forced trades. You can actually make more money by trading less. And it sounds amazing because it is. And in this video, we're going to cover the different types of setups, who they are for, and how to figure out which setup is best for you. Let's start at the very beginning where coins are created, the new pairs. This is the section that is glorified all over Twitter, all over YouTube. You see these guys making, thousands of dollars in 1 minute, in 2 minutes. So everyone runs to this section and most people lose here. Most just want excitement. So they come here, there's new pairs every second, buy, sell, because they want that high. But ask yourself, are you here for that high, for that dopamine hit, or are you here to win? And in terms of a setup, these coins don't really have a setup. They're brand new. And in the beginning, they're filled with all sorts of scams and bundles. I mean, over here, you check this coin, 92% bundled, 98, 99% insiders, 36% snipers, right? Like, this is a total scam. You're not going to make money over here. And the tool I'm using is Axiom Pro. It has all these safety checks. It has a Twitter tracker. It has a wallet tracker, and it has very fast execution for trades. And if you're trading, you need a trading bot. And this is one of the best in the game right now. So I'm going to leave a link down below. And with that link, you will get 10% off of your fees. But back to these new pairs. There are people that win, but the people that win treat it as a full-time job. I'm talking 10, 12 hours a day. People with a lot of experience, people with a lot of capital. For example, we can head over to CallScan and you'll see these are the people making a lot of money, especially in those new pairs. And something a lot of people miss is, these guys are trading hundreds of tokens a day and they're barely holding, right? This trader, for example, holds 8 seconds, 16 seconds, 5 seconds, 8 seconds, 21 seconds, 9 seconds. The area, this window of opportunity is so short. So if you don't have 10, 12 hours a day, if you're someone that's, busy with other things in life, or you only have 1 day a week to trade, this section or these setups are not for you, right? You're probably not going to make money over here. The funny thing is, the guy that simply avoids this section will typically beat the guy who spends 6 hours a day in this section. I do like to keep it open just to see what's going on in the market. I won't necessarily buy anything from here, but it gives me an idea of what's trending, what people are talking about. But if you don't want the headache, you don't want to be staring at this all day, you can go into the filters, set the minimum bonding curve to something like 99%, and all those new pairs will no longer be in sight. And then the next section to look at is the final stretch. These are coins that are close to migrating, close to graduating. And I don't find the risk to reward here to be that great. You're not necessarily super early, like the people buying over here in the new pairs. And also, typically when these coins migrate, there's a post-migration dump. So what I do find valuable about this section is just to give me an idea, or give you an idea of what's maybe going to graduate, and you can start doing a little research early. And to just focus on the coins that maybe have a better shot at graduating, you could go into the filters, set the bonding curve to something like 80%, and it will show you the coins that may be graduating soon, and you can start getting your research in. This doesn't mean that I'm going to buy, because remember, I'm going to wait for my setup. And whatever your setup is, you're going to wait for it. So at this point, it's more of a research phase. Then you have the migrated section, or the graduated section. And to me, this is really where the money can be made. And by waiting a little bit, you give some time for the bundles to get out, for the scammers to get out, for the snipers to get out. And if a coin is good, it's good. It will eventually run, most likely. Now, just because a coin is here doesn't mean that it's automatically going to make you money, right? And all coins behave differently. And some of you watching might be looking for a 2x, a 5x, a 10x. Some of you might be looking to go in with small size. Some of you might be looking to go in with big size. Some of you have 10 hours a day to trade. Some of you have 1 hour a day to trade. So you go through these coins and you figure out what you like, and you wait for your setup. And during this period, you have time to research. You can check the Twitter. You can see what people are saying on Twitter or on X. You can check the websites for these projects and figure out if it's something that you might want to get into. Now, the important thing is not to force it. Just because something looks good or you think it's good, you have to wait for your entry. And this section is better suited for people that don't have all day, right? They don't have all day to sit, 10, 12 hours looking at all these new pairs. But even for someone who does have all day, in my opinion, this section still is the better one to focus on because you have a little more confirmation, a little more time to do research. I'm not talking about, hours and hours of research, but simply, a minute or two of research, because in these new pair section, you really have a few seconds, where over here, the windows are a lot longer. They could be minutes, hours, or even days for you to get your entry. For example, I'm looking at this coin over here. It had its initial run up, and then it had a dip here to the $40,000, $50,000 range. And in this time, you can start doing research, looking up what is this trend, check out the YouTube video, look on X to see, is this getting talked about? Does this have mind share? And depending on what type of setups you like, you might try to catch a bottom. Now, whenever you try to catch a bottom, you're looking for that maximum reward, but at the same time, the coin could totally die here. So that is, for example, a setup that there's certain traders that they might go for, right? But then there are people who want a little more confirmation. They want to see, can this thing last a little longer? Are more people buying in? Is it making higher lows? So, obviously, if you get over here in the ground, right, you're going to get the maximum reward. But even waiting a little bit for some confirmation, let's say you get in over here, this coin ended up going all the way up to this 2.4 million range, right? That's 700, 800% gain. So with this coin, you had to really be there in the early stages, but not all coins require you to be there at the very beginning. For example, this coin, Bitcoin, had an early run up. This is pretty hard to catch. The window of opportunity, the window of entry here is pretty tight. So you might say to yourself, I missed this, but maybe you're a patient trader. Maybe you're someone who really waits for things to form. So you missed this run up, right? You didn't FOMO in, and you keep waiting. Remember, waiting can be painful. So you're waiting, you're being patient, and maybe you enter, 8, 9, 10 hours later. So you get in at this range, 70, 80,000, and then all of a sudden, this thing skyrockets a few hours later, 80, 100%. So you have to figure out, what type of setups do you like? Do you like to get in right at that new pair stage, right? The very risky stage. Do you like to go for those initial run-ups? Do you wait for things to calm down? Do you wait for consolidation? Do you wait for higher lows? Do you wait for a narrative to form? Do you wait for more people to join into these communities? And then over here, we have a gaming play. So gaming and AI plays behave a lot differently. At first, people are trying to figure out, is this thing real? Right? Is there really a team behind this, or is this LARP? So you see with this project, this is the gaming project, it had its initial run up and then, kind of died down. People may be unsure. Is this thing real? Is there really a product over here? But in this time, you do your research, right? You have, let's say, 14, 15 hours to do your research to figure out, there's actually a team here. There's actually a product here. I'm going to take my shot over here. It looks like things settle down, and then very quickly, you can get, a 700% gain, right? Or, wait a little longer, 1,000% gain. And if you were bold enough to hold that for a little longer, you might get this 1,600% gain. Basically, what I'm trying to show you is that depending on who you are, there are different ways to enter into a coin. You might like that initial run up. You might like the first dip. You might like having 2 dips and a recovery. You might be looking for certain people to enter a coin. Whatever it is, you have to wait for it. And if you have the patience to wait for that setup that you have an advantage with, then it kind of becomes like free money. One of my favorite quotes is from the legendary trader Jim Rogers. He said, "I just wait until there is money lying in the corner, and all I have to do is go over there and pick it up. I do nothing in the meantime." So when you wait for your setup, it's essentially picking money off the floor. The difficult part though is that you have to actually wait for that setup. So what's the best setup for you? Now, this is a question that only you can answer because, like we said earlier, we're all different with our capital, with our risk tolerance, and what we're comfortable with. And the way you can do this is on Axiom, you can plug in your own wallet. And when you click on an address, you can see the performance over the last day, over the last 7 days, over the last 30 days, and look at what type of wins you have. Do you get those 500% or more gains, or are you more that someone that goes for those 200, 500% gains? Look at your top coins and figure out where on those coins, where in the chart do you do the best? And not only that, pay attention to what type of plays, because coins behave differently. A viral news story, right? Or a viral tweet, let's say, it might just last for, a minute or maybe an hour, but something that's truly viral in the media or something that's a big cultural trend, this could last for days, maybe even weeks. And then we talk about these AI or gaming plays. If it's real and it's not LARP, they can also last 4 days or for weeks. You have to go through them and figure out, where do you excel? There are so many different types of setups and you can't catch all of them. The man who chases 2 rabbits catches neither, and the same goes for these coins. You cannot be a specialist in every single type of setup and every single type of coin. So through self-analysis, you start to figure out, where are you weak and where are you strong? And when you figure out where you are when it comes to strength, you focus over there and you wait for it. You wait for it. Depending on the type of setup or the type of play, a good play for you might only come across, 2 or 3 times a day, once a day. Sometimes it might not even happen. Or maybe you are the person that is there for 10, 12 hours a day and you're taking 10, 30 trades a day and that works for you. The bottom line is you have to figure out what works for you and you have to wait for it. And it's not something that will happen in a day or two. It's actually something that will take some time. But if you're serious about this, eventually you'll figure it out through self-analysis and constantly remind yourself that trading can be boring, but boring is what wins. One good setup beats 10 forced trades. If you enjoyed this video and need a trading bot, use my link down below to sign up for Axiom and let me know down in the comments what else you'd like to learn about in future videos.